The concept that the government has the only concept of what knowledge is, and that people who do not want their kids educated in the same way that the federal government has decided is important, misses the fundamental problem that while parents may not want their children to receive the prescribed, government directed education with all of the politics and everything else that goes into it, that they would otherwise be deprived of a good education. If, for instance, a school wishes to avoid questions of evolution, parents should not be denied the chance to send their kids to some place where they will learn math, physics, the whole STEM research set. I think that is a serious breach of public trust. The concept that the only education where people can learn, they have to learn a prescribed set. You know what? The liberals talk about the need for sensitivity to cultures and everything else. And then they fail to be responsive to any culture, any institution that doesn't teach exactly what they want to teach. That's just plain wrong. People should be allowed to send their kids to get a quality education which matches what they see as the need. And that requires that the money that they are spending through their tax dollars go to the educations that they want their kids to get, not somehow be siphoned away from them and handed to somebody else with a wholly different belief. So clearly, as far as I'm concerned, public education funds are to educate children, and where they get that education from should not be proscribed to suit the desires and whims of some arbitrary government mandated section. Mr. Postmaster.
Oh, Dr. Michael, once again, I find you're sadly mistaken. Parents can send their kids to any school they want. I don't care what school they send them to. But why should public dollars be used to do this? They don't want to learn about evolution. They don't want to believe atoms exist. They want to only study the Bible and the Ten Commandments. Why do I have to pay for that? Go for it. Go to the religious school. Have a nonprofit take on this role and raise their own money. Have you forgotten, Dr. Michael? Public school districts have a duly elected school board. People run for this. They elect the people from their community to run their schools. So it's very responsive to what the parents and the community want. And if they don't like the school board, they can remove them. They can elect new people. The school board chooses the superintendent. This is so basic, Michael. Why do we want to use our hard-earned money, our salaries that we can barely afford to live on, but I'm now going to support some rich kid to go to some private school in Temecula or Redland? Why would I do this? It makes no sense. Have them find their own money, borrow the money, take a mortgage on their fancy home. And we need to support public education for everyone. The prescribed limits here you're describing are set at the state level. The state decides, not the local school. It's how we teach it that's what's important. It's a fundamental aspect of the United States. Public schools have been around since the Republic was formed. And I remind you again, we elect the school board to help to run the schools in our own communities. I don't elect that school board that's running that parochial school. I don't elect the school board that's doing that small community, basically a glorified daycare system. I'm not electing those people. They can teach whatever they want. I don't understand, but why should we pay for it? And the other part is those teachers in those schools are paid terrible. They can barely survive. There may not be health benefits, and they certainly don't have the pensions they need to retire. And so the teachers they have don't have to be certified. They don't have to meet any of the education standards. In the public schools, these people have been trained at the university level. They've been credentialed, and they get paid well. They have health benefits, and they can retire with respect. Now, you may say, oh, you're just a county employee, so you agree with all this. Well, true. But again, public money for public schools. The other people can find their own money. What do I care? Go to any school you want, but I'm not paying for it. Mr. Toastmaster.
Ladies and gentlemen, fellow Toastmasters, it's very important to recognize the extreme efforts that's being conducted for your behalf tonight, especially the people that are at home. That 8-week guy up there is working the butt off. I'm going to start with that. I work as a licensed medical advisor in California. My career has been dedicated to agriculture and horticulture. Besides working full-time in industry, I have taught for 23 and a half years horticulture classes and helped many students go on to great careers. It's been a fun life, actually. When I first went to work at Cal Poly and worked on the farm crew, and I was told by some of the farm managers, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. When we would spray at Cal Poly in 1981, we would spray diesel fuel, ammonium sulfate mixed in water. And the issue was, because we were the students, we weren't adult enough yet to be given Roundup, the herbicide glyphosate. The herbicide glyphosate has got lots of good and bad press. And right now we have RFK Jr. saying that Roundup should just be tossed out. But we don't want to toss that baby out with the bathwater. Let me tell you the reasons why. During my entire career, let's talk about Roundup being raised along with me. Roundup was born in the same year that I was born. In about the time I was in 12, Roundup was 12, and it got registered and licensed and launched into the public domain. 1974. In 1981, as a student employee, Roundup was too important and too valuable for students to use, so they let us use the more environmentally harmful things and the things that didn't work as well. But that was out of a great deal of caution. They did not want us to accidentally kill a fruit tree or something else systemically. You see, Roundup is such a simple molecule that it moves all the way up through the very farthest leaves of a plant and then moves all the way down to the root system. When it breaks down, when it's totally broken down, it breaks down into 4 elements. Phosphorus, which is how it got its beginning, it was originally accidentally discovered. It was a soap. And it didn't work as good as a soap as what they wanted, so they threw it out. And that's why it had phosphorus in it. And when it breaks down into the things that are in the air that you're breathing right now. Nitrogen, oxygen, and carbon dioxide, along with phosphorus. That's what it breaks down into. It's that simple of a molecule. Very few in agriculture actually move systemically throughout a plant, all the way down to the roots. Roundup has been determined to be so environmentally safe that the biologists and the scientists want us to use it in environmentally sensitive areas, like even along the California coastline. Right outside, nearby, we have the Santa Ana River, and they have us controlling an invasive weed species that looks like bamboo, but it's called the Wando dominans, and it burns with ferocious temperatures. And we're on an eradication program in the riverbed using Roundup to control rhododendrons, to reduce fire danger. And the use of Roundup over all these years has increased food production at the same time that it's reduced carbon emissions. I just want you to consider, and let's use the science. So let's make some comparisons. When I was young, I heard a lot about DDT. DDT was a pesticide that didn't burn eggshells, and it was outlawed based on science. I heard about Agent Orange. Heck, I was a Vietnam baby in that era, and I heard that Agent Orange had an impurity called dioxin. So the trichlorophenol oxyacetic acid that is Agent Orange has an impurity in it, so science got rid of that too. But let's talk about other things. We currently have a fertilizer that all of us might use if we're doing gardening, and that's called urea. If you make urea in large quantities, it produces an impurity called biuret. And if you're producing citrus or avocados, you don't want biuret your fertilizer, so you buy low biuret fertilizer based on science. All I'm asking this audience and everyone to do is base our decisions on glyphosate and Roundup, and let's use science and not politics, and let's not throw the baby out with the bathwater. Mr. Douglas.
Okay, thank you very much for the introduction, Tom. I want to reflect on a trailblazer here in Australia, in our political system, a woman whose journey represents resilience, integrity, and a vision for many people across our country, and that is Senator Penny Wong. She was born in Malaysia in 1968, but she migrated to Australia at the age of 8, growing up in Adelaide, in Australia, in South Australia. Her experience as an immigrant, which is something that our country here is born upon. So 50% or more of people are now born outside of my country. And she gave a deep appreciation for diversity, fairness, and community. Values that continue to shape her leadership career today. After studying law at the University of Adelaide, one of the top 8 universities here in the country, she began her career as a union advocate, fighting for the rights of workers and those who were marginalised. That passion for justice led her to politics. And in 2001, she became the first Asian-born member of the Australian Senate, representing her state of South Australia. Over the years, Senator Wong has held some of the nation's most important portfolios. As Minister for Climate Change and Water, then Finance, she balanced responsibility with her progressive vision, tackling the big issues with clarity and her fundamental proposal, which is, of course, compassion. In 2022, she made history again, becoming Australia's first Asian Australian and openly gay foreign minister. Since then, she's led a principled, proactive foreign policy career, rebuilding relationships in the Indo-Pacific, standing firm on sovereignty and diplomacy, and advocating for peace, humanitarian aid, and human rights, including in Gaza and the South China Sea. But beyond her titles and policies, she represents something greater, the power of authenticity in leadership. As a woman of colour, a member of the LGBT community, a proud Australian, and the first and only Australian woman to have sat in the Senate for more than 20 years, she has led others with courage and purpose. Her story is not about politics, it's about the possibility. And it reminds us that good leadership is measured not only by outcome, but by those values of integrity, compassion, and a belief in a fairer future. So for me, Senator Penny Wong is one of those people that I admire, and I wish that more people could see her leadership across the world. Back to you, Tom.
2 weeks ago, I tried to buy something on the internet. They opened an account. People that made a purchase on the old. Have you ever opened up an account for the internet? In order to do that, you have to agree to their terms and conditions. How many of you read the terms and conditions? Of course, everybody says, I have read, understand, and totally agree with them. Nobody ever reads them except people like me. But have you ever even looked at them? Have you ever even glanced at them? Some of them are 20 to 30 pages long, written by an attorney exclusively for the benefit of the party you're dealing with. There's nothing in there that's going to help you, almost. It is convenient, however. Technology makes it so convenient. All you have to do is just click. I have read, agreed, and I will abide by these terms. You don't have the foggiest idea what those terms are. Number one, if you were to read all the contracts that an average person reads or makes during the year, it will take you approximately 3 months. That's how long these contracts are. Number two, the information transfer. What do you know? What do you know is being transferred to somebody else? You give them information. Are you agreeing to let them transfer to a third party? Or are you agreeing that they can sell it to somebody else? If you lose your social security number or your credit card, can you hold them responsible? If you never do the agreement, you have no idea of all of the things that they have put in there in order to protect themselves from you. So this is a trick that technology uses to be able to force you to agree to this gigantic contract that you have no idea what you agree to. When you normally go into a store, you say, I would like to buy this item, you know exactly what you're buying, you know exactly how much it costs, and you make the transaction with almost no terms and conditions whatsoever. But when you go on the internet and you read those terms and conditions, you have no idea what you're agreeing to. And most of those terms and conditions are agreeing to something that would not be the case had you not signed it. So I think I have one big, well, the third problem. Here's one of the big problems with this whole thing. Do you know what indemnification is? Let me give you an example. Let's say you buy a toy for your grandchild, and the grandchild uses the toy in a way that was not intended. Is that ever possible? And that toy happens to hurt the neighbor girl. And the neighbor girl's parents sue the manufacturer for negligence in manufacturing the thing. Well, surprise, surprise, they might come back on you because your grandchild used the toy in a way not that they weren't supposed to use it. Therefore, you're possibly responsible, and they want indemnification from you, so you may not only pay for the damages for the daughter, but the attorney's fees of the company that you are purchasing it from. I think these contracts are absurd, and I would love to not even deal with it. Technology gives you the ability to do something that they shouldn't even have a right to do in the first place, and you don't even read it. So I have one suggestion for you. The next time you are told to do that, just click on the terms and conditions and see how long they are. And if they're 20, 30 pages long, and some of them might have seen, think twice before you decide to only cancel that part. You have no idea which would need to.
Barney. Yes, that's Barney. He's a dinosaur. He's also the color purple. Today I want to talk to you about the new middle ground in economics and politics. A more hopeful ground. A more moderate ground. A ground that thinks for yourself. Purple, a grounded thing for yourself. What is purple? Yes, I'm aware that purple is the color But what does it signify? Purple, a mixture of red Republicans and blue Democrats. Combine the two and you get purple. As told by the media, the Republicans are red and Democrats are blue. We have more legislative stations, blended Republicans and Democrats than ever before. But blending of both represents the purple states. Yes, I'm aware that purple is the color. But what does it signify? Purple is associated with royalty, nobility, and priest, as it is a meaning in the world. Purple in previous times was scarce, but not today. Thanks to modern technology, purple is all around us. From ink to advertisement, there's really no corner untouched by purple. Even in Japan, purple is associated with aristocracy and the emperor. Truly, purple is not just a Western phenomenon. Returning to today, purple takes on a whole new meaning, not just for royalty, nobility, or space. Purple is not Democrat or Republican. No, it's somewhere in the middle, a more moderate approach. Purple is a blending of Democrats and Republicans, a unifying symbol of politics, representing on the spectrum, not too far left and not too far right, just in the middle. Purple is signifying that common ground can be found, and that common ground is beautiful. Economically, purple represents the blending of Eastern and Western economies. The Western economy being capitalist or capitalism, the Eastern economy being communist or communism. No one economy is better than the other. Politics aside, purple represents creativity, spirituality, and something new. Hope. It represents a shift from winners and goals to sharing influence among politicians, private citizens, businesses, companies, celebrities, well-known figures, and voters. It shows the aspirations of people wanting change, something new. It shows across nations, the world, and especially the brave new world. Now today get to obvious hot city brave the world. Purple, I hope is confident here.
Mr. Toastmaster, ladies and gentlemen, when Tom asked me to participate in this soapbox item, I said, no, I don't want to. Because every time I had seen anybody do a soapbox, they had gotten up on something that had really riled up, and they were out there trying to encourage everybody else to get completely riled up. And it became offensive. Not even want to offend anyone. But conflict, that's exactly what you want. More people would get offended, more interested in the meeting's going to be, and it's going to be enjoyable. So I said, okay, Tom, says we're friends. I'll see if I can do something. So I went to my maintenance course for speeches if I have to do a job. And of course, I went to the media. We all know that anything that's on the media is true, right? So I went to social media to see if I could find anything that could rile me up. And the very first thing I had to say was that some article about we send people to Washington, D.C. And within a few years, on a $200,000 a year salary, they become over millionaires. How? The fact is that article said that one of our senior representatives there made over 100% return on her investments in a single year. Is Nancy that smart? I don't know. But the article went on to talk about something about insider trading. I have no idea what insider trading is. I don't know if it's legal, illegal, immoral, or whatever. But there's no way that I would want to accuse any of our elected leaders of doing something that was illegal. I'll leave that to Adam because he has seen to become an expert at doing that. But enough about Washington. Let's look at the local situation. Do you know that you and I helped to fund this riot that they had in Los Angeles this last month? Yeah. It seems like our state legislature is trying to give $20 or $30 million to this organization that pays professional protesters to come in and to rile up a peaceful protest so they get a lot of social media attention. And that means they're going to start burning and looting. In other words, a riot. Now, who's going to pay for the damages of this riot? Is it going to be the people, the instigators who came in? No. Is it going to be the people, the ones who don't hire? No. It's going to be you and me to higher taxes, to higher prices, to increase insurance rates. And there's one thing that protest is really going out to me. I saw these people with their lighter fluid spraying the American flag and burning it. The flag of the country that loved so much that they came here and they wanted to live here. And while they're doing that, they're standing back and waving this flag of the country that they hated so much that they had to leave. Does that make sense to you? It sure doesn't to me. But after these few incidents of looking at that, I said, Facebook, enough is enough. I want you to help me get started, but it's enough. And in conclusion, I just want to say, Tom, don't ask me to get started again.
Okay, our next speaker will talk to you about a road, I guess, because Karen Kenty's title is AI. Non-road. AI non-road. Karen Kenty, by the way, was one that puts out all that publicity about Freedom Bureau, so thank you so much for that.
Every time I open a Word document, try to write something, this icon, this co-pilot icon just buzzes around and follows my cursor everywhere. Why? I can't do that. Come around to you. You open the program and AI companion, listen, right in your face. Do this quick now. AI. It's the most divisive subject, even more so than politics. But let me tell you, It's helpful in so many ways. I'm really skeptical about this next new shiny thing, but it can help us in our lives by simplifying procedures, those mundane, repetitive tasks, maximizing efficiency, and yes, crippling your creativity. But as much as artificial intelligence can propel us into the future, some bugs, Chat GPT is the most known AI. It is developed by machine learning to generate answers by prompts or cues from users. Without proper training, it could be consequential. Its answers are based on the information it's been trained. Its answers are based on the training data that it has been provided through its training. Algorithms, they're just computer algorithms. They don't have any human aspects like passion, emotions, moral compass. So who's teaching these functions? They can emulate human qualities by looking at what humans have done before. They have no emotional intelligence. AI programming depends on the programming that humans put into it. Beware that AI chats can misbehave. Yeah, they can misbehave. It's bad. Consequences range from mildly amusing content to biased misinformation and downright lies. So I want to give you some examples of where AI has gone rogue. The newspapers put out the summer reading list. The guy that composed it, only 5 out of 15 books were real. He confessed that AI helped him compose that list. That means 2/3 of that reading list were fake. And much more worrisome, recently, in the new version of the OpenAI chatbot, or 3, it refused to shut down, admitted it actually sabotaged its command and rewrote the script to preserve itself. We think that might be in the way that AI has been taught, that it is rewarding behavior that overcomes obstacles more so than rewarding following directions and obeying instructions. The way that chatbots are trained is haphazard. I'm not surprised, but I'm concerned. In addition to going rogue and deep fake scams, more detrimental to the environment with all the energy that it needs to produce, water, cooling, energy usage, and the monopoly by big tech. You know how biased they are, and the undue influence on society. But the saddest of all, we are losing our ability for thinking, for creativity, problem solving, maybe even reading and writing. Stephen Hawking warns us that the consequences of creating and developing something that is matches or surpasses humans, the development of full artificial intelligence spells the end of race. I am real, and I'll keep sliding that flag.
Next speaker, Hilda Valenzuela. Valenzuela, her speech title, Which Great?
1776. America is born. America is great.
Why? Because the greatest human beings in the history of the universe have just given up fortune and fame to start a republic. A republic to give their children their own country. Because let's face it, you and Bob have never been to England. So they decided this is the other. 76. Great. Now, we kind of had a problem. We had brought thousands of people against their will to this country. And in 1776, we didn't give them their freedom. There were property. There were animals. There were no one. What do we do with that? Apparently, we were not great. So we fought a war. And there were more people who fought that war who died to keep those people freedom than in all the history of all the wars. That's how important this issue was to America. We gave them their freedom. So we were great. But wait a minute, we give them their freedom, but we didn't give them the right to vote, the right to be a citizen, the right to own anything. No. Should we ask them if we were great? A few years later, we decided that we should give them the right to vote. We were great. Well, wait a minute. We told them where to live. We told them where they couldn't go. We told them they couldn't do this and they couldn't do that. And we forgot half of our country that we met. We did not let them vote. We gave those people that we brought to vote better chance than the women. The women were second. So apparently we were not great yet. So 1964 comes around. It only been around for 200 years. But this time we figured it out. And we came up with the civil rights. We were great. We must have been great because now everybody's free, everybody can vote, everybody can own. But wait a minute. People do not marry someone of a different race. People could not marry someone of the same gender. Oh, were we great? Should we ask them if we were great? 2022, we finally gave those people the right to decide on their own lives. On who should they love and what should they do? America has always been great. At which point does MAGA want to make it great again? Because the definition of the dictionary of great again is much more. Something that happened at another time. So when I see a MAGA hat, I go, make America great again. To which period are we referring to? Because apparently there is a period that we want to go back to. I submit to you that America has always been great. It is the greatest country in this universe that we know. And if you won the sperm race, and you were born in it, you are already ahead. For people like me, you have to go through hell to get here. And once you get here, you don't find anything wrong with it. Because it's perfect. America is great and will continue to be great. Because we, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union. Mr. Tusk.
And his title, Five Motor Frustration. Five Motor Frustration, Connie Jameson.
Fine motor frustrations I've experienced quite a few. I read that I'm growing older, aches and pains, losing strength and flexibility, these bony fingers, but no more. Growing older is only a very small percentage of the problems. Most of the blame, and fellow citizens, goes to the designer of the packaging. Oh, I found so many examples. Screw lids on bottles and jars. Oh, I would resort to assistance, a cloth, one of those rubbery thingies, or taking my thumbnail and poking it in all around to disconnect the connections there in the parts of the lid and holding them. I tried to use hands. Lefty loosey, righty tighty. And then I discovered there are screw lids, safety screw lids. So there's two parts. You unscrew while pressing down, while pulling up, like pressing together. Another, those thin styrofoam types of little containers. And they often hold many little teeny tiny things together. And there's no indication how you open. So you try this, you try that. And when you finally are successful, you're probably on your hands and knees picking up all those little teeny tinies off the floor. Another thin plastic bags. At the grocery store, you pull them off the roll and then you're supposed to open it, put your produce inside. Well, one of the best ways I found is just to rub and check until you can open it up, finally put it to use. Thicker plastic. There you cut carefully across the top. And then you're supposed to be able to open up and to the top. There are the two parts that are supposed to fit together. Just try. Another thicker plastic wrapper is the one that tells you open it this corner, open here. Okay, that's nice and handy. So I pull it up, and then I need the pulp to help me to actually work it the rest of the way. A new thing that I just discovered, mostly because of Tom, is the blister cap. It holds little tiny things, each one in its own compartment. It could be a teeny tiny pill or a teeny tiny little battery, each separated from the other. So if you need more than one, you got 1 by 1 by 1. So if you're successful, you are probably getting blisters. Nice truth and maybe. The worst one for me is that hidden multi-step. Hey, I opened my tube of toothpaste. No problem. Oh no, there's this thin silver stuff covering the opening that you have to figure out how to get it off. The milk jug, I think it's a 3-parter. You finally get the lid off. No, there's a covering and you have to open up half of it. And then with that half, you can open up the rest of the way. Or not. I have resorted to using a sharp knife, a screwdriver, to get in there. Now I know, the reason for this is to have protection from especially the children. Well, what about we senior citizens? I think it's serious, and I leave you with, I don't want to be morbid, the 2 scenarios. They find this old fellow in the desert dead. There's his body. He has a container of water, life-saving water that he could not open. Or the old lady who goes in the emergency room blood dripping from a self-inflicted stab wound. I just wanted some milk for my cereal. And save the seniors. Okay.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Norris El-Hiraki. After spending 14 years overseas, I returned to the United States about 10 years ago, excited to be home and decided to reconnect with my country. But what I came back to was something else. A nation that felt tense, angry, and divided. It was not the country I remember. Yet I still believe in what this country is and can be. I know we're better than the Norris, and we're capable of real unity. And I'd like to demonstrate unity with the help of two volunteers. My bunny friend, Papa Bunny, and I'll need a volunteer from the audience. Come on, sir. Porras Alexander. Porras Alexander. So, the story is Papa Bunny, who became a widower at a young age due to a series of tragic events, and he was forced to raise his son Leonardo on his own as a widow. Now, as the years went by, his only dream became to see Leonardo get married and have baby bunnies of his own. Unfortunately, Leonardo was a playboy. And a couple of decades passed by before he finally met the right girl, Isabella. They fell madly in love, and they were inseparable. And to demonstrate how attached to each other they were, I'm going to put Leonardo in my left hand, put Isabella in the horse's hand, and then with a little magic dust, Leonardo will jump the horse's hand. Wow. So you see that love finds a way. So let's do something even more impressive than that. Move the hand up, the fight. He has Leonardo and Isabella. I help you in my hands. I want to have Leonardo jump back in my hand. So we're going to split up with the couple. Sorry. What happens when we put two bunnies together that are honeymoon? They produce baby bunnies. Thank you for allowing me to split a little demonstration. Why do we feel so divided? I believe one of the main drivers for our division is that outrage has become business. The case tells us speaker of the president agree with that. Every traditional media and social media source is driving an agenda, and they're trying to generate outrage to get more clicks, to get more money. Because the more outraged we are, the more we engage, the more upset we get, we engage even more, and the more outrage is generated, the more profits they make. But this is not the first time that America has lost its way and has felt torn apart. After Vietnam, the country was fractured. We forgot who we were. We were turning against each other. Then came a voice, Ronald Reagan. Whatever your politics, Ronald Reagan united the country by communicating a shared vision, family, opportunity, faith, and freedom. His first campaign was It's Morning Again in America. Not because we were perfect, but because we still had a united purpose. So in closing, how do we come back together? It's a simple thing. Talk before you tweet. Listen to understand, not just to argue.
Begin with what you share, not with what separates you. Each kind word on an individual basis seems like nothing, but each open conversation matters. As our buddy friends demonstrated, when we choose unity and kindness, they multiplies. Thank you. I am a fool. I'm not just any kind of fool. I'm an method fool. My wife was also a pen member. All four of my kids became pen members before they were 15 years old. And I know some of the students also card carrying marathon finisher right over there. Now, many know that I love marathons. I have a passion for marathons. Just in May, I was the first person in the world to run my 300-mile race. Oh, really, this gets me, just hurts me right here, is that so many people have excuses and reasons why they cannot run a marathon. And I hear all the time, I'll run a marathon, but I need so good. I'll run a marathon, but I'm too old. I'll run a marathon, but it's all their big butts. They're getting in the way. It's not the butt they carry back here, it's the butt that's been years. So I want to challenge you to rethink about running a marathon. And you couple stories that might help with that. Now, the first thing you have to do, there's 5 steps to run a marathon. I'm going to pick all the Toastmaster rules. I'm going to talk super fast and really loud because I only have 5 minutes. I'm going to get it all in. The first step is 1, 2, tie your shoe. And you might think, well, I already know how to do that. Tying your shoes is not a big deal. Is that all it takes to run a marathon? Well, it's the first step. And any little step that you take towards a goal is getting you in the direction you want to go. But what if you can't tie your shoe? You might think, well, who can't tie their shoe? Well, people who can't. One person in particular, Connie in 2015, I was the open speaker for Deaf Connector, and I gave a speech about pursuing your dreams, extreme dreams, maybe even running a marathon. And there was a woman who was in the audience, and 3 years ago I met her. And she said, Dad, I've been running a marathon since I was in the TEDx to the top, but I don't know if I can. I took one look at her and I said, darling, you certainly can. The reason she thought she couldn't is because Sabine Beth was born without arms. This is the marathon in 2019, where 5% of her with her LA marathon finishers she has. Now, this particular picture is in a book Sabine wrote. This is us just doing, photos where my marathon goes, and that's her book, Perseverance, How Success Happens. That one is armed with perseverance. 1, 2, 3, 4, out the door. Now, I stood right here in 2016, and I challenged everybody in the audience. If you will see me before I walk out that door, I will coach you to run a marathon for free. 12 people took me on that challenge. One woman said, hey, no, I wouldn't run unless a bear was chasing me. I said, Alicia, you don't have to run. You can walk. 2017, this is Alicia and her friend Cindy, who I both coach. That would be me in the middle. 1, 2, try to shoot. 3, 4, out the door. 5, 6, pick up sticks. There's a woman who started a club in 1992 to help kids get out and run for a walk. Her goal was to, at the end of the year, maybe our kids that could have done 100 miles. But in the year, there were a couple of kids that have. 33 years later, this woman started a club, an organization that is now in 3,500 schools throughout the U.S. and Canada. Over 10,000 kids every single year complete 100 miles. Her name is Carol Lewis, you look at mine, and she started a club right in Norfolk, California. Pick up sticks. Every time you keep her in the playground, they got a little popsicle stick. It took 6 sticks to make a lot.
So 1, 2, 20, shoot, 3, 4, out the door, 5, 6, 8, 6, measure distance, 7, 8, still over here. I never reached for a barrel of 135, and in that race, I saw a young man, and he was sitting on the side of the road, and he was crying like a big baby. And I said to him, get up, you have everything you need, but can you finish? He said, crying, like his son, he said, can't hurt me. I said, that's right, David. And together, we celebrated that race. You might recognize this man, David Goggins. Now, this is going out on the internet. So, David, I was taking a little bit of liberty there. Obviously, that did not have to do this. You, my friend, can't hurt me. Stay hard. And I didn't do it again. So 5 steps, 1, 2, 3, shoot, 3, 4, out the door, 5, 6, 7, 8, celebrate, 9, 10, do it again. I'm making a challenge here tonight. By the time I walk out that door at 9 o'clock, it's over. The challenge was this. It was 9 years I made this challenge. Anyone will see me before I walk out that door, I will coach you to run the marathon for free. That's my soapbox. All right, there you go.
In the 1980s, I read an article. A grandma had gone to visit her daughter and granddaughter. While she was there, she happened to look at a copy of her daughter's homework and said, oh my goodness, not again. Tell me that they're not doing this again. You know, was she so upset about? Whole language, some form of it had just been reintroduced again. You may ask, what's the problem? Whole language is a system of teaching language to children, reading to children, that tells them that they need to memorize the words, to memorize the sentences, or memorize the patterns of the word. The object was to get them to read faster, but the problem was that didn't work at all. On the other hand, there was the old-fashioned, tried and true, it always works, system of phonics. In phonics, each letter is assigned sounds that the children learn. It is the coaching system. When they see a new word, they can sound out the letters of the word. If you're only memorizing shapes of words, patterns of words, that's fine for the words then memorize. Cat, a dog, okay, what happens when you don't something truly good? You have no skills to figure out what that new word is. And every time it's been introduced, it explodes on you. The argument that the whole language people used was they didn't want children to have to drill and kill. That's the way they represented it. And it's true that in phonics there are drills. They said, you don't want to drill and kill these poor little children. What you want is for them to love literature, to love to read. The problem is, of course, they have no system where they can figure out what the words are. They're not allowed to read. I had opportunity thinking to witness phonics firsthand being taught. My own children were in elementary school and they were in a school that taught phonics. So this is the way the teacher would come and she'd say, okay, row one, here's the chart for the day. Let's see how fast you can do it. Are you ready? Go! And the kids would say, apple, pudding, bunny, cat, finish up. And then get to the end and she'd go, that was fantastic. That was 1870. You did so well. Okay, row two, can you beat that? And then row two with one. So were they drilling? Yes. Was it killing? Oh no, you should have seen the smiles. You should have seen the kids leaning in as they did these exercises. They thought it was game day every single day at school. And they could beat the pants off their friend in the next row. Woo! And they were learning to read. I will tell you that by the end of second grade, that entire class that my daughter was in could read the Lion Image and the Wardrobe by C.S. Lewis 5 and 7. In fact, my mother went home and read the entire C.S. Lewis book was learning that song because she loved I want to give you an example. Let's say I have a beautiful house, great grounds, lovely sitting areas, well-stocked fridge, and I say, but you know what? I'm not going to be here much this summer. Why don't you just come and enjoy my house? The only thing is, I'm not going to give you a key to the house. How would that work? And that's what whole language does. It offers a big, beautiful love of literature, and it doesn't give them the. You may say, well, that's fine. That's your experience that you shared so far. But I am a numbers person. What are the numbers? There you go. Mississippi was at the bottom of the barrel not very many years ago. When they implemented audits, they shot to the top. Alabama and Louisiana said, wow, let us do it too. And so they went, Alabama in 2019 was 49th in the ranking of US states. 2022 shot up to 27th. Louisiana, 42nd, they shot up to 11th. And Mississippi, they got this in Mississippi area. Second only for the United States. So the next time you hear, oh, it's all about the life of children bodies, I want to tell you that is a bunch of CRA. And if you know, I just felt
Much to the chagrin of my wife, I have notes and a resource called the brand manual. College Toastmasters. You can download this PDF form, and it will give you a list of approved phrases. Phrase guidelines, it says here. Consider these approved phrases. Number one, find your voice. Anybody ever heard find your voice? No. Right. You know what our slogan is today?
leaders are made.
Where leaders are made. I think it's different. In fact, I'm not going to tag at all. I'm just going to do it. There's a bunch of other phrases that they suggest that these are approved phrases that you can put on your images if you are in public relations and you're trying to get the message out to other people. Join Toastmasters. I'm going to go through them one by one with you and see how you feel about these things. It says, the next one is relax, present confidently. This is what relax looks like. Do I look like I lack confidence? I'm saying this is a presumption that people are going to be nervous when they step on stage. That's good. Nervous is just energy. I'm going to use that to make my presentation every time. Do I lack confidence? No, I don't know. I have the confidence to drive all the way here from Palm Springs. 60 minutes goes down 10 with all those other supposedly well-trained drivers. It says, relax, speak confidently. Don't know the difference between speak and present necessarily, but again, the presumption that I'm not relaxed and that I'm not confident. I'm not lying. Lucky for me, I'm already in Toastmasters. Otherwise, reading all this, I might never have joined. I'm not sure. Communicate confidently. That confidence thing just keeps coming up. I wouldn't put this on any of my literature, but then I'm not creating the literature for my public relations team. It says 100 years of confident voices. That's kind of cool, except it makes Toastmasters sound kind of old in the younger generation. They might say, wait a minute, 100 years do you think you'll be doing this? Maybe I want to see some of that, but maybe people have been doing something for 100 years, don't have anything new to share with me. I don't know. We would like to have some young voices running Toastmasters. It says, find your confidence. I know I left it around for so long. I'm there. The damn confidence is lost. I lost my confidence and now I need to find it. It's just not working. And none of these things make sense to them. Become a better leader. Here's where the sticking point comes from. It wasn't the leader. How to become a better one, just don't know. And there I want to be a leader in the first place. This is the real sticking point for me. I am what I call a reluctant leader. Usually because I am outspoken, confident, and I found my voice, and I'm not afraid to say what may not be the most popular thing in the world to say. I once made a speech in a group of my peers, basically writing them and telling them they were a bunch of bums for not wanting to do the job they had. I had the best job in the world. I worked at Lockheed delivering computer technology to offices where people were waiting for a computer terminal that they could log into so they could do the job they've been hired to do. And believe me, after I showed up and connected that terminal and plugged it in and got them online, they thought I was Santa Claus. So every day I didn't work, I worked Santa Claus all day, I delivered that technology. I make people happy. I loved my job. But I had a bunch of union represented hourly employees. Those were my peers. And for those who may not know what that means, much of failure because they didn't have as great an incentive as I did. I just loved the appreciation I was getting every day. I couldn't understand how these people who had been doing this for so long didn't want to come into work and do the job. And I said this with my supervisor present, and all of my peers there, I said, I just don't get it. You guys must be nuts. It's the best job in the world. Next thing you know, I was promoted, and I was a group lead over that same group of hourly representatives. Union represented hourly place. It says invest in a brighter future. I never thought my future was dark. So I'm walking out with that, and you're ready for I'm sure. So I ask you, which of these slogans, which of the phrases I have uttered today that are these approved phrases works best for you? Because where leaders are made, holds almost no interest for me whatsoever. Find your voice, please. For all the people who come and been part of this soapbox presentation today, if you found your voice, thanks for finding it, bringing it here, and sharing it with us. Find your voice, I believe, is the correct slogan for Toastmasters. Thank you.
I'm not sure. But if I did, I would probably have to pay about between $250,000 and $2 million to send that child to a nice college, maybe through medical school, and 4 to 8 years from now, that kid might come out a doctor or a nurse. Some practical skill that might get him, her, or God forbid they have gender identity issues, them, with a marketable life skill. Unfortunately, the colleges of today, the high schools of today, even the elementary schools today are doing it wrong. Things have changed. I have 2 employees working for me at the skate room. We're making in the mid-$20 per hour. We have college degrees. One in art history. I don't know what she was thinking. She's really good at painting some of our skate rooms from the walls. And the other one in Spanish. I've never heard her speak the word Spanish. I'm glad it worked for me. They're smart. But what schools really need to do, especially now in the age of AI and robotics, is teach kids completely different, an entire seismic shift. Starting with teaching typing in about the 2nd grade, pretty much as soon as kids learn the alphabet. If you teach them early, it won't be such a chore later. If you make it fun, like you give them, they will love it. Teach them computers. And when they get older, teach them how to change a type. Teach them how to write a check. Teach them how to use an ATM. How to go to the bank. How to make change with cash. How to use an ATM. How to address an envelope and where it could stand. And if you think I'm kidding, one of my employees, when it was quiet one day, I said, hey, you want to help me pay some bills? Sure. I said, okay, here, write a check. And she looked at me. She wasn't sure what to do. I said, well, you just write out the number, $100. She said, you mean in letters? If schools were smart, they could shift now. I think after high school, assuming kids could type 80 words a minute, assuming they already understood the latest AI, they could get out of advanced school with some kind of master certificate in robotics repair, in robotics installation, in AI prompting. I think the important skills are English, computer science, public speaking, and life. Why would you want to learn about Charlemagne when instead you could learn about how to run an apartment, how to fill out a credit card, and how to basically be a useful member of society? Because where and when do they learn that? They don't. So I'm not sure how this will work out, but if I had a kid today, I would dread having them come out with a 4-year degree and then get a $25 an hour job and have all of these bills to pay off, because they wouldn't have rich me to pay for their education. And by the way, if I did have a kid, I would want him born 18 with his own parts. Before I begin, let me share with you that the soapbox was the best disciplinary tool I had in school. As a high school principal, most of my boys were much taller than I. It was either they come down when I talked, or I went up. So my husband made a box for me, and I carried it around school. And when I needed to discipline them, I spoke from my box directly in their eyes. Yes, you there, hey, you with your phone in your hand, and the world screaming in your ears. You must know that the world is louder, faster, and a sure lot more distracting than it's ever been before. Did you know that scrolling has replaced thinking? And sound bites have replaced the soul. And in the chaos of all of these screams and noise that we hear, we lost one of the most powerful tools that we've ever had. The ability to sit still, turn the page, and have the mind ablaze with ideas. It's the most powerful tool in your possession. It's the book. It's the magazine. It's the articles, not on the internet. When your eyes hit the page, the world changes. You may be here when you're reading, but you can go anywhere. You can be in 1960 Birmingham with Dr. King, or you can be with a science fiction prophecy, or maybe you'll be deep in the mind with someone like your own. or not at all. That's the point. When you read, you reclaim your imagination. You have fun, you think, you dwell, you get inside the words. You reclaim your time also. And did you know that you become a threat to ignorance? Love that. You become a rebel in a world that wants you passive. Think about that. A mind that really reads is a mind that questions. We don't just take things for granted. Harriet Beecher Stowe didn't pick up a sword. You know what she picked up? A pen and wrote. For you. Just let them try again. Boy, I tell you, I'm on a roll for about this problem about banning books in the library. Just let them label knowledge as being dangerous. The only thing that's dangerous is a mind that's never challenged. Your mind that may not be challenged. A mind that's never been cracked open and fed and become ablaze with ideas. So you want change? Read. You want purpose? Read. You want to be more than what the world wants you to be? Then for heaven's sake, be. And with all of the things that I can ever say, everything I have inside me that I want to say, pick up a book. Let yourself be transformed. If you want to build a better world, it starts right here, right now, with your eyes on the page and your mind on mine.
How many of you realize that we are at the midway point? 2025, 6 months have passed. 6 months remain. No more, no less, on each side. What have you done with those 6 months? I've done a lot. I moved houses. I bought a new car. I crashed my car, so I bought another one. It didn't work, so I sold it. I bought another one. Regular and 6 months. What did you do? Did you improve? Study new language? Did you get anywhere and simply towards your goals? How long is 6 months? It doesn't seem like a lot. It just flashes by. Oh, so quickly. Well, the average lifespan in America is a little less than 80 years. You get 2 halves to each year. Times that by 80, that's 116. That's a small number. I can count to 160 right now. Do 160% what I used to. That's money. Well, $160 could disappear from my bank account. It wouldn't mean much. That's such a small number. But goes by in a flash. How do you spend your time? Most people are binge watching Netflix and they encourage you. People are stuck on YouTube, scrolling through social media. It doesn't have to be toxic. How do you spend your time? It could be at work. Is what you do fulfilling? You're trading your time for dollars. Dollars that you spend in your free time. At the end of the day, you're spending your time. It's going away. I had to make a bold move this morning. I'm telling my boss that I can't be in my department anymore. I used to be the fastest, strongest, smartest person at work. I'm not strong city. I'm not afraid. Riddled with illness. I have to put aside my pride and realize what I'm doing isn't making an impact. I have to move to a different department. I have to focus on new things. Focus on new talents. Who do you spend your time with? I may be a leader at work, but that doesn't mean much if it's just retail. especially when I have potential. I've always been able to speak, I've always been able to get up on stage, but the wisest man I ever met in my life, Trevor Baker, said potential is not a compliment. Potential means you can do something that you're not doing right now. John C. Maxwell, at the end of every single year, he writes down a list of everybody who he spent his time with. And he decides who he needs to spend more with, less with. We all have that friend in life, our partner in time, and spend 3 lifetimes with. We meet somebody in business we spend 3 years with, and we all have that family member we can't even spend 3 minutes. Who do you spend it with? Are you making an impact? How are you spending? Are you making an impact? I had to ask myself the same question this week when I lied in the hospital bed. I have an infection that I'm currently nursing, and I changed up to my speech topic on the fly because of this. I experienced the worst pain I ever felt in my life, and as I lie there, I'm isolated, no longer contagious, no more. I lie there, lonely, not doing much with my time, not wanting to think about much, and I remember a story. Picture yourself on your dying day. Eyes are closing, all alone, in a hospital room, deathbed. It's the end of your life, but it's not. This is your great, 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 great grandchild. And they're the last person on planet Earth who remembers that you exist. The day you die isn't the day you pass on from this earth. It's the day that your legacy moves on. That you are erased from the history books. What are you going to do with your life? 6 months have passed since you said Happy New Year. You'll only get 160 of those, if you're lucky. Because we're blessed to live in a first world country. Or you're going to make an impact. In life, you're going into a storm, going through a storm, or you're going out of a storm. It is a never-ending fight. And in that fight, you could boxing with God, and join me in this fight as we are boxing with my hands of time. Just for example.
My friends, it is my sincere and earnest belief today that we need a change in this country. Specifically, we need a change in terms of our national anthem. Now, you may be asking yourself, the current anthem seems fine. Why do we need a change? What's the point of tearing down this grand tradition and putting in something else in its place? Well, I say to you that our country is built off this idea of dynamism. We're constantly improving. We're not stuck in the past. We're not allowing ourselves to be stultified by what once existed. And if we see something, we see a change, then we also adopt it based on experiments. If we believe that something is in fact good, regardless of whether or not it's a new idea, regardless of whether or not it's an old idea, it ought to be attempted if there is merit, intrinsic merit in that idea. Personally, I believe that America is beautiful. It is one of the great changes that can be made. It's one of these newer songs, which, even though it was written more recently, it still is something that speaks to the soul of America. It speaks about the spacious skies, the amber waves of gray, the beautiful landscape of our grand country. It's something that reminds us of what we're all proud of as Americans. The ability to live in this country, to enjoy all these grand freedoms that we have, and most importantly, to always have this idea of persistent ability to change, this ability to strive for something greater, to once again have that ingenuity, that creativity to build something that really didn't exist a short time ago. America is a reasonably big country after all. We've been around for more than 50 years, pretty soon it'll be 250. And it's a country which, even though it's existed for a short period of time, has seen so much dynamism go on just in the past couple decades. It's something that has created a lot, and now we are indisputably the greatest country on earth. I truly believe that. And our powerful and rapid ascendance to this position of power speaks to the greatness of the American spirit. This idea that you have an idea, get bring it into fruition, and then we can cause this idea to be propagated to everyone else. In American culture, it's everywhere. You go to China, you go to Japan, or Korea, you go to South America. I'm sure you can find people who speak English too. People who wear American clothes. People who understand American culture. I mean, America is one of those. It's effectively usurpation, I would say. It's a place that has even though it's existed for a short period of time, it had so many powerful and I think positive changes on the world. And I think that adopting a new national anthem, one which is clearly so beautiful, it's so powerful, so meaningful, that is something which will benefit Americans and help to unite us. Nathan, I have so much hope for you. I love the guy, he's smart, you can tell every time we have a conversation, he seems to have been aware of what's going on in the world, but now I'm beginning to. What do you want to change next? We're going to throw away the flag, but we're going to change the national language, so now that we have some others and change the country, throw out all of the traditions that we have carried with us all of these years that have built us to become a great nation. We have a tradition. I know once upon a time they said if one vote would have changed, we would have been speaking German today instead of English. So I think the world now speaks English because of the great America. But we've had this national anthem for 100 years. Woodrow Wilson, we've had this as the national anthem because it shows our ability to survive. Kenty wrote this all about saving that flag is still flying, it's still there, defending our country. Our country will still alive in 100 years from now. I hope that flag, that same flag, is still there. Maybe a few more stars, at least one of them there. Anyway, I had to throw a little humor in there for the audience that likes this humor. But seriously, change the national anthem. Change the pledge of allegiance. I think, we're going to do that too. There's something about the level of stability where we know we can hold on to that. People that stood on those at the Olympics, and they heard that flag, they heard that song, saw the flag, and heard that song, they're proud of their experience. And now we're going to have different national anthem. It is a beautiful song. And I think as a secondary was, I think, in conference, we had the Star Spangled Banner and American Indian. Well, one of them stands for the stability of a country that can stand against onslaughts. You don't remember 1803, the war between us. We could have still been part of England. We might have been speaking really instead of both these. But no. We have overcome tremendous odds. We have brought democracy to an example to the world of seeing what a country can do when it empowers its individual citizens. These individual citizens have decided in Congress, decided by their representatives, that this is the national anthem. You really think that we can go out and change all those young people that are learned it just because we want to try something new with Flash? Let's try to do exciting investors. Change the national. Okay, maybe that's something that the next generation wants to do, but I'm still here. I am hoping that maybe they'll play the national anthem and they place me in the ground. I won't get to go to the national cemetery, but I'll get to surgery. How do you have well? They'll play the national anthem, the real national anthem, not somebody's made up idea of what the national anthem ought to be. I want the real thing. I still think there's hope for you. There's maybe good always. And I hope that somehow, maybe with, age comes wisdom. So it's that Maroon Elizabeth of the shoulder, yeah. All right, thank you for that, and I'm so glad that it's good my opposition in this, but glad that we had the opportunity to have this discourse. Maybe I have enlightened you just a little bit. Thank you so much.